So what is it that's wrong here?
When you're behind the wheel of a 40-ton tractor trailer unit on a downhill run, your air brakes are all there is between a nice, easy stop and a sobering confrontation with disaster. If you take care of your brakes and use them properly, they'll be there when you need them. If not, well, just imagine stabbing the brakes to avoid a crash and finding you have no brakes at all. It's not likely to happen, but it could if you let it. Of course, you know how important your brakes are. Yet poorly maintained brakes continue to be the #1 citation drivers get during roadside inspections. So what's with that? Why would you mess around with your safety and the safety of everyone else on the road? Every driver should understand how air brakes work, how to keep them properly maintained, and how to use them correctly so they don't wear out as fast or fail when they're needed the most. Let's review air brake basics so you don't get into a situation you can't control. There's too much riding on your brakes for you to take them lightly. You already know that your air brake system is actually 2 systems, or 3 depending on how you look at it. A service brake system, which you control with the brake pedal, and a spring brake system, which operates your parking and emergency brakes. You may not think about why there's more than one system, but the reason's obvious. If one fails, you have an emergency backup. The air pressure used to stop your vehicle is created by a compressor, regulated by a governor, moved through brake lines, and stored in 3 tanks or reservoirs under your tractor. Most trucks have air dryers along the brake lines to remove moisture from the compressed air, but the tanks still tend to collect moisture. Drain these tanks daily, but make sure to drain the wet tank first to prevent moisture from traveling to the other tanks. Also, check the drainage from the wet tank routinely for oil. If you get more than a cup of oil, the compressor may be worn. Bad news when you're relying on air pressure to be there when you need it. Have a qualified mechanic check it out. If you don't drain your tanks as part of your everyday pre-trip inspection, the tanks can rust out to the point where they may not hold air. That's a pretty good incentive for draining them, wouldn't you say? You may know that spring brakes work exactly the opposite way that service brakes do. They kick in when air is absent from the brake chamber. When you apply your parking or emergency brake, it vents air from the system, allowing the spring to expand. If your air brake system fails, it has the same effect as pulling the emergency brake. It creates the absence of air the spring needs to expand. Spring brakes can kick in whether you're parked or traveling 55 miles per hour. So don't let air pressure get much below 60 psi, or you won't get to choose where you stop. On the flip side, you can see why you aren't able to release your parking brakes until you have proper air pressure. Air pressure is what keeps the spring brakes from engaging. It's critical to check and recheck that your brakes are released on both the tractor and trailer, or once again, you could end up dragging your trailer. Believe it or not, this happens to even the most experienced drivers. Not you, of course. Brake failure is something today's professional drivers should never encounter. Few situations are more dangerous or potentially deadly. That's why you need to be diligent about pre-trip inspections, be smart about braking, and get your brakes checked regularly by a certified mechanic. Take care of your brakes. They'll take care of you. It's one simple aspect of being a master driver.